very well is maybe she hugs you and her body is very hot and you're like, are you okay? And she'll sit there, yes, I'm okay. You know. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm always excited to be back here. See, just ignore the fact that I'm shooting this video outside, right? The sun may come up or down. Just ignore that fact, yeah. So today, I want to talk about something that I have always known, I have always processed, I have always thought about. Second bonds, middle bonds. There's something about second bonds or middle bonds when you have 3 children or something. And I'm going to ask a question. What adjectives do you use to describe your second bonds or your middle bonds? Do you say, oh, this child is troublesome? Or do you use the word mischievous? Or do you say defiant? Or do you say daring? I also understand that a study has been led by Joseph Doyle. He's an economist at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And he said in his study, he found out that second bonds have, a tendency to have rebellious behavior. Do you agree with that opinion? Are you of the same opinion? Let's take a look at it. Come with me as we take a look at this. Well, I was talking with a second born recently, and we were just gisting, and she went on and on how it feels to be a second born. You know that excitement that comes with having your first child, and then you just go, oh wow, we have a baby. Or maybe you've been trusting God, we have a baby 1 year later, 2 years later, whatever it is. But even if you have the baby 9 months later, you know that excitement that comes, and then there's a party, there's a lot of congratulatory messages, people are excited for you. And when the second born comes, imagine the first born was a male child, and the second born comes, and the second born is also a male child. Just like, yeah, we have another child, and you just see that child as an additional child. After all, we already have a male child. Sometimes, even if it's another gender, maybe a female child, sometimes we see that if you're not careful as, oh, we have an additional child, But by the time you have your third born, you're excited, yay, our last born, our baby, or you have your fourth born and things like that. So if you are not careful, you see those second borns that people just say as, oh, we have an additional child, especially when it's the same gender, or even if it is not the same gender. Sometimes the responses or the reactions are very similar. Dear parents, I also remember somebody telling me she's a second born child, that being second born is not fun at all. Be careful with what you say to your children. Be careful with the seeds you sow on the inside of them. Honestly, if you ask me, I don't think you should have a favorite child. Even if you have 5 children, you have 6 children, you have 1 child, or you have 2 children, all children are your children, right? I know they're not all the same, but be careful with the kind of seeds you sow into your children. Naturally, a firstborn comes and then no competition, nothing. But by the time the secondborn comes, the secondborn has, somebody to compete with. If you make it look like a competition, to compete with that, oh, I also need to compete for my father's love. I also need to compete for my mother's love. How are you training your secondborn? What are you saying to them? Are you literally saying it out that, oh, this one is my child, this girl, every time you're complaining, this child. These things are deep. They are really, really deeper than it seems, because a lot of times seeds have been sown into those children, making them believe that they are stubborn, they are rebellious, they are troublesome, you wish you didn't have them, and that thing goes on and on with them. And most times, if you're not careful, before I did this particular video, I did surveys with several second borns, in addition to what I already know. If you're not careful, they would always see themselves as second place, and then they would always have issues, misunderstanding with either their mom, or their dad, especially their mom, and things like that. Now, let me give you some practical examples. Clothes. If you have a first-born daughter and you have a second-born daughter, if you are not careful, you will not buy clothes for that second-born. You will just be doing pass me down. No, just be thinking about it. Is that what you are doing? Is that what you are doing? You will just be doing pass me down. And that second-born child will almost never have any new clothes. I was talking to a friend of my husband sometime, and we were just talking, and she said that one day she just realized that her second born child does not have any, or did not have any brand new clothes. That everything she had was what her big sister passed down to her. She said that day she packed her money and said she's going to the market to buy clothes. And she was like, her husband was asking her that, why are you going to? She said no. Then she realized that she has almost never literally bought clothes for her second mom, because she keeps on doing pass me down, you know. And then she never really gets, to have clothes that she can say, oh, this is my own clothes that I have by myself without my elder one passing it down to me. 2, if you're not careful, you raise your second mom to be people pleasers, which is not good, because you're always complaining about them. Oh, this child, this girl, this boy, every time. You almost will not see anything good in anything you do, because that your firstborn that is perfect in your eyes, the one that is compliant, the one that abides by every rule that you have stated down. Of course, it was easier for that firstborn too, because the firstborn did not have any, probably little one roaming about while he was being brought up. But the second one has come, and it is different. The environment is different. The energy is different. The experience is different. So you do not expect to just give birth and have a perfect child who will just come, and be perfect in character-wise and all. So if you keep on condemning your second born, the child will probably try to be a people's pleaser. Now, there are 2 ways to it, 2 extremes. It's either the child tries to please you on everything, so when you're dead, the child will pretend to do everything right. Or if you abandon your second born and you don't have them, it's always about, my firstborn. Oh, you do this, you do that. And then, oh, my baby, the last born, or something. The second born will do everything to get your attention. And you see that everything may be good, may be bad. There are 2 ways to it. The first extreme is the child will try to do everything good to please you as a parent. Or the child will try to do everything naughty to get your attention. Because if the child maybe breaks something, and then that's when mommy or daddy will pay attention, like, you have broken something. Whether the attention you're giving, if it's shouting or not, as long as you are giving attention, as long as you are facing the child and talking to the child or making the child feel like, okay, you have done something that will make me communicate with you. So there are 2 extremes. So it's either your child turns out to be a people pleaser, or goes the other extreme and would do things that would really push you to your limits just in order to get your attention. Okay, so let me use my daughter as an example. My second born is a girl, right? And she's very beautiful. She's totally spunky. I love her to bits. She has the best smile in the whole world. If you know her, you know what I'm talking about. Her smile is perfect, But she's very daring. She loves adventure. She loves to explore. She's very curious. She wants to know why that thing is there. She wants to cut the flower. She wants to dig up. She wants to live a practical life. So if I call her Dami the Explorer. And she's really an explorer. And she's getting amazing results, because the truth is, at the end of the day, she will get amazing results, But when she's sick, or when she's not feeling too good, or she's under the weather, you will almost not know, because she's very strong. The only time you get to know, if you do not pay attention to her very well, if you don't know her very well, is maybe she hugs you and her body is very hot, and you're like, are you okay? And she'll sit there, yes, I'm okay. So that's when you realize that, oh my God, I need to do something. Oh, my daughter has a temperature, because she's always fine. She's always okay. 2, when she was much more younger, she's the one who has tasted all sorts of things. She's the one who picks up all the tiniest of things. I've brought out insects from my mouth before. I'm sure I've told her this story before, and she was like, I brought out insects from my mouth before. I've packed out sand from her mouth. Like, she is the one. I remember one of those times she was playing with her brother when she was younger, when they were both younger. And, they were playing on the mats. There were toys there. And a lot of things. All of a sudden, I just noticed that she just sat down. And she was looking. And they said that when your child is quiet, that is the time to run about and go and look for the child. Like, what is the child doing? This one, she was quiet and she was right in my face. And I just passed the living room and I just looked at her and I'm like, are you okay? You alright? And then she was just looking. And she's very expressive. So the fact that she was looking, it didn't feel right. So I told her, I said, come. So she stood up and she came close to me. Immediately she came close to me and she stepped out of the mat. She just started throwing up. Guess what? My daughter had swallowed the cap, one tiny cap of a cute toy in the toy box. My dear, that day, I packed all the tiny toys that can possibly enter a child's mouth. I packed everything out of that toy box and, took away. I had those kind of episodes with her. Another episode I had with her was, there was a time that she didn't have runny nose per se, but she just had water trickle down her nose. She just goes, wipes it off. And when she wipes it, it just stops. Then later she will wipe it. She didn't have runny nose. There's a difference when a child is having runny nose. But I started paying attention. It seems like something is smelling around this girl. That time, maybe she was almost 2. She was not yet 2 per se. And I kept on trying to figure out what was smelling. I smelled the back of her ear. Sometimes if you're not careful, you will not wash some parts clean. I smelled the back of her ear. Is that part smelling? No, it's not smelling. And so I think as I was checking her, she just did like this again to wipe off the water that trickled down her nose. And I smelled it. So I just put my hand and smelled it. It was that thing that was trickling down her nose that was smelling. And I was wondering that runny nose does not smell. This is not the first time so runny nose is not supposed to smell. So I just wondered, what could this be? And I Googled. I called my husband. I said, I need to take our daughter to the hospital. He said, why? I said, I just feel like I need to take her to the hospital. He said, okay, no problem. Mothers, trust your intuition. But he immediately said, no problem. I just said, okay, let me Google. Why is my daughter's runny nose smelling? And it says, the Google now told me, your daughter probably has a foreign object in her nose. Foreign what? I checked. I didn't see anything. Immediately, I took her to the hospital. By the time we got to the hospital, the doctor said, the pediatrician said the same thing. I always make sure my children see the pediatrician, not just a general doctor. The pediatrician said the same thing. And they looked, they said, it must be cotton wool or something, or tissue. I said it must be tissue because this girl, I knew the time she would play with tissue, she would stick it in her nose and just slip off. God. But I call my daughter the explorer. I know what I'm saying. So instead of condemning her every time and using negative words, I'll find words that will, yield positive results, because words are warfare, and she went on. And then by the time the doctor checked her and brought out whatever was deep down in her nose, guess what, guys? It was a sweet wrapper. A sweet wrapper that was already decaying. Oh my God, I can imagine what your face looks like now. A sweet wrapper that was already decayed, and I recognized that sweet. They used to take it from my neighbor's house. My neighbor had a lot of it on her table. So every time they go there, she goes, you can have sweet. So I'm guessing she probably played with it. In the process of trying to remove it continuously, it probably kept on going deeper and deeper and deeper, and she probably forgot about it until the thing started decaying, like I'm not supposed to be here. Imagine. So I'm sure you guys have a story of that about your second born, and things like that. But the truth is, find the strength in your second born and look out for that thing they do excellently well, brilliantly, that makes them go on and on, that makes you feel proud of them. Don't dwell on their negativities. In as much as they're second borns, middle borns, they have the capability and ability to do everything that firstborn of yours is doing, or your thirdborn, or your fourthborn, whatever it is. Look for the positive side in your firstborn. Now, let me tell you 1 or 2 exciting things that you need to know about secondborns or middleborns. So, I'm just going to mention 3 things. Secondborns are very determined. They are very, very determined. They are also resilient. They're ready to show off, show daddy or mommy that thing they did so beautifully well, or show whoever is ready to pay attention, and they're also very independent to a large extent. So parents, guardians, teachers, whoever is responsible, you see that second born that you're ignoring, complaining about, or that middle one, please pay attention to them. Pay attention to the details. Show some love. Let them know that being a second born is not a crime. That doesn't mean they have to come second place in everything. That doesn't mean they have to compete for your attention, compete for everything as long as it has to do with them. No. So that's all I have today. If you can relate to what I'm saying, you can drop a comment in the comment section. If you are a product of an experience like this, you can drop a comment in the comment section. But please, 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 if you have been doing it wrong, do your best, turn around. If you have been doing it right, thumbs up, keep going. And if you are yet to even have your second born, when that second born comes, make sure you do right by him or her. Thank you. Bye.